What up guys, it's Markin. Today I have 10 tips for League of Legends to make you a better player and help you win more games. Now to start off at number 10, before the game even starts and you're in Champ Select, pay attention to what your team needs. Now if you have first pick, this won't really apply to you because the team would somewhat have to get built around you. But if you're down in the 4th or 5th pick and you realize you're playing top lane, your team has all squishy champs, high assassins, high damage assassins that are ready to destroy the other team, and they have no tanks at all on your team, you're probably going to want to fill that role. It'll really help your team have a more well-rounded team comp. It'll help you dive to the line, stay alive, while all of your squishy assassins can do more damage. Now number 9 would be play the champs that you are comfortable with. Play your best champions. Now as number 10, play what your team needs. You also need to play the champions that you are comfortable with. If someone's screaming at you to play Malphite top because it's OP and overpowered, but you've never played Malphite before or he's not one of your good champions, don't worry about what they say. That's not a champion that you're comfortable with, even if they're supposedly overpowered, not in your hands because you don't know what you're doing and you're going to lose the game for your team. Only play your best champs. If you play normal games, you can practice with champions that you aren't familiar with to get better, but when you're playing ranked games and you're trying to win, play the champions that you're comfortable with and you know the ins and outs of. Alright, number 8. Turn on SmartCast. Learn to SmartCast. I can't tell you how amazing it is. It's very easy to set up, and what this does is instead of clicking QWER and then left clicking on a target or an area on the map, all you do is hover your mouse and click your QWER keys and the ability will automatically come out. It saves, half a second, fractions of a second from clicking that mouse button, but in team fights, especially in League when you're 1v1ing somebody, those fractions of a second can make all the difference in a fight. It takes a little bit of getting used to, and some champions like Rumble's Ultimate for example, is much better to be cast not on SmartCast. 99% of the abilities in the game should be SmartCasted and it'll help you win fights. Now number 7. This might sound overtalked, might be an obvious one, but ward. Ward. Even if you're not the support, you still need to ward around the maps. Wards give you vision of the enemy teams whenever they walk near your wards, so you know where they are. You can base your next movements on where you can see the enemy. Now still to this day, nobody wards. It's ridiculous. It costs you 75 gold, 100 gold for a pink ward, and that ward could help you more than any one item could in terms of getting objectives, in terms of picking somebody off and getting the advantage for your team. It's just endless. Ward. Now number 6, I have focus on last hitting. It's the most important aspect of laning. The first 10 minutes of the game, you can worry about your opponent, make sure that you don't get picked off, but your main thing you want to focus on is last hitting. The only way you get gold is by last hitting. You want to get those creeps, you want to get the last hit on them and get that gold. Your opponent may be pressuring you and making you use your health pots, but if you have a 30 minion lead on them, the first time you go back, you can buy another half an item that they can't get, so when you get back to lane, you'll be able to dominate them. I can't stress this enough. Focus on last hitting when you're in lane. Now at number 5, this isn't gameplay related, but it is UI related on the HUD. What you want to do is shrink down the size of your HUD. Your abilities, your champion picture, your mini-map, shrink them all down. What this does is it gives you more room on the screen to actually see what you're doing. You don't need to read the little tooltips that pop up after a while. You know what ability does what for your champion. So what you want to do is shrink those down, still make them visible so you can see what you're doing, but shrink them down enough that you can gain more of an advantage over your opponent. If you can see more, it gives you that extra half a second that you see a Leona charging up her ultimate or flashing to EQ you. You can see that, you can plan on that, and that extra half second can get you out of there. Now number 4 is adaptability. You want to be able to change as the game's going on. If you're trying to split push with a Zed and it's just not working and the enemy team keeps coming and picking you off, you need to change your strategy on the fly. You can't just keep over and over and over trying to do the same thing if it's not working. If you guys are team fighting and you're getting constantly blown up in 5v5 team fights, you need to tell your team that you need to try and sit back, pick somebody off, and get an advantage so you guys can fight with the 5v4 and get the upper hand and win team fights. You can't just constantly sit back and do the exact same thing over and over again if it's not working. Now, number 3, if you are losing in lane and your opponent is constantly harassing you, they have a kill on you, and they are just dominating you, and there's nothing you can do, you keep getting repeatedly ganked by their jungler, there's no way out of it, stay under your tower and only focus on last hitting. Do not try to harass your opponent. Don't worry about anything else except last hitting under your tower. Now, some champions this is a lot easier on than others. However, you need to learn your champions, play your best champs so you know their ins and outs. You know how many turret shots you can go, what abilities you need to use in order to take out the minion and get your money. Even if your opponent is steamrolling you in lane, do not die. Let them poke you, let them get you low on health, but do not die. Stay under your tower, so if they do dive you under tower, you at least have the tower to back you up, add some hits on it, and your jungler can come in and finish up the kill. Now, number 2, every game is winnable. A lot of people at the end of a game, after you lose, will say, well, that game just wasn't winnable. That's not true. Every game is winnable, and every single game, win or lose, you can do something yourself that would have changed the course of the game. You could team fight better, your movement could be better, you could have warded in better spots to know where the enemies were. Every game, you could have done something better to help your team win. Even if you guys are getting steamrolled, you can wait for the other team to make a mistake. If they try and go Baron, all of them are low, your team of 5 can come in there, get them all down, and steal Baron, and kill their team, and immediately the game is changed. Every game is winnable, and don't get down just because you're losing early game, especially in solo queue. Anything can happen. So keep your head up and always try to win the game. My number 1 tip for League of Legends is don't expect to be great instantly. Especially if you're new to this game, if you're new to MOBAs in general, this game is a pain in the ass. There are so many different things, little intricacies that you need to learn, and the only way you will learn these things is through playing the game. It's just practice, practice, practice over and over again, and unfortunately, there's nothing you can do to learn them except to play the game. You're going to lose. You're going to lose a lot when you start out. You can get carried by your teammates, absolutely. Some games you'll even do the carrying. But no matter what you do, you're always going up against somebody that has more experience than you, and you need to just deal with that. You need to figure out how other champions attack you, what champions are good against other champions, how to team fight, how to position. All of these things will only come with experience. So those are my 10 tips, guys. These in no way are the 10 top tips and the only things you need to know in order to get better at League, but they are 10 tips that'll absolutely help you out, and I hope to see you guys practicing them out on the Rift. Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, stay active.
Hitmakers.